Now on everyone's mind is, can Coulthard hold pole position? Let's find out now on HTV, the Argentinian Grand Prix.
Britain's David Coulthard is a potential world champion this year. His McLaren's on pole. A sparkling Michael Schumacher's alongside him in the Ferrari after a vintage performance in qualifying. He's got the Scot in his sights. It's race day in Argentina. Welcome to the Buenos Aires Autodrome, where the British have an excellent record in recent years. Hello, good afternoon, and a very happy Easter to you all back home. Now, the drivers have distinctly mixed feelings about this place, but it's been a very good circuit from a British point of view. Damon Hill had back-to-back victories here in the Williams in 95 and 96. And last year, Eddie Irvine produced one of the great drives of his career. He finished behind the winner, Jacques Villeneuve, in his Ferrari. And today, David Coulthard can put himself on top of the podium after an exhilarating qualifying hour.
After being comprehensively beaten by his teammate in Brazil, David Coulthard came to Argentina desperate to regain the upper hand. But he had more than Häkkinen to contend with. Ferrari have made a big step forward and Michael Schumacher was on it from the start. The new Goodyear front tyre giving him the edge he's been lacking so far. Further evidence that Goodyear's made a big step came when Villeneuve picked up the pace. But it was a mighty lap from Schumacher that showed that this will be no McLaren cakewalk.
Into the 26s for the first time. A great lap from Michael. He's really been driving this thing, sliding it around.
Schumacher's teammate Eddie Irvine was also on good form. He looks set to grab a stunning pole.
He's quicker than Schumacher. This is fantastic. If Eddie Irvine can keep this up, he will go to provisional pole position. He's never been there before.
Sadly, Eddie made a small mistake. His next effort was spoiled by Pedro Diniz in the Arrows, but nevertheless, Eddie ended up the day a very respectable fourth.
It's a shame because I don't think either myself or Michael got anywhere near the best out of the car. You know, my last lap, I had to just be very, very careful. I couldn't afford to make a mistake on it, so it was, you know, I really feel 25s were on for us today. But if you don't do them, they're no good.
A lap in the 1-minute 25-second bracket was Coulthard's target too. The Scot kept his nerve and did not disappoint.
He's so neat and tidy through there as he drives for the line. Is it going to make it? Yes, he does. 25.8. A great lap from David Coulthard.
But what of Mika Häkkinen? Well, the Finn was never really in it, struggling to better 5th place. After a bit of a rethink, he went out and hauled himself up to 3rd.
Be in the 3rd and being starting behind the David, I think there's a very good chance to make a good start and to make a good race. And like we all know, the race last year was here something like 1 hour and 50 minutes. So it's a very long race, very tough race.
Make no mistake, conditions were tricky out there. As Jarno Trulli proved, these groove tyres can bite you when you're on the limit. Meanwhile, Damon Hill was using all his powers of concentration to come up with the goods. He tried hard, but he made a bit of a mess of it in the final corner.
I went into the last corner and just went too fast, really, and spun it, but the crowd seemed to like it, so I gave them a load of smoke, and they were well happy with that.
In contrast, Ralf Schumacher was having a great day. Another solid qualifying lap, giving him a highly creditable 5th place. 130 racing laps so far this year, and you've done one of them, so I'm sure you're hoping to do a few more tomorrow, aren't you?
For sure, our first target is finishing the race and finishing it in the points, and as we saw today, it's for sure possible to do that.
So the Goodyear tyres were good news for Ferrari and Jordan, but not so much for Williams. The world champions were in better shape than in Brazil, but the outright speed wasn't there. Frentzen out-qualified Villeneuve for the second time in 3 races, but Williams want more than 6th and 7th on the grid.
At the moment we cannot speak about success. I mean, of course we have got a hard time right now, but I'm confident that our people in the team will find a solution.
Every Goodyear car seems to be more competitive, which is good, but the new tires didn't help us as much as they helped the other ones, so that's a little bit frustrating. But you know, we'll just have to get the car working a little bit better on these tires and to be competitive tomorrow in the race.
Johnny Herbert had an afternoon to forget. The Sauber driver struggling with braking problems. He did well to qualify 12th.
I am so annoyed. I can't tell you how annoyed I am. I just can't believe that we had, well, the problems what we had in Brazil, and I come here and we have even more damn problems. So, you know, the car should not be where it is.
Still a British driver on pole position and hoping to find the winning way.
It's going to be closer here. It always was going to be closer, and we just need to hope for a good start.
You say it was always going to be closer, but you must be surprised by just how close it was. Michael really was on it today.
Yeah, no, Michael was at his best, and you know, Eddie goes well at this track as well, so relatively they were both quite close to the front. Goodyear have responded, and we need to do the same.
I predict that there's a little chance to do this job, to be second today and maybe tomorrow, and that happened obviously. What I'm very happy is that the miracle could take place here.
So the grid. Coulthard's first pole for McLaren, Michael Schumacher right up there alongside him. Then Hakkinen and Eddie Irvine, the Irishman, very optimistic in 4th. Ralf Schumacher going well in the Jordan. Frentzen out-qualifying Villeneuve in the Williams. Damon Hill 9th between the Benettons of Wirtz and Fisichella. Then the Saubers, Alesi and Johnny Herbert. Takagi next in the Tyrrell, followed by Barrichello, Stewart. The Prosts really way back for them, with the Arrows and the Minardis. And the back markers are Rosset and Magnussen. And welcome to our trackside studio. Just over half an hour to go to the off. It remains damp and very overcast here in Buenos Aires. They're talking in terms of a 2-hour race. Tony Giardi, just explain what that means.
Well, there is a 2-hour limit on the race, and if it's damp here, for example, it'll take a lot longer than that. So what happens is they won't reach the 72 laps, but the flag will come out dead on the 2 hours.
You picked Coulthard in the sweep, and you paid up. I know you're a...
That's from the Esteban Tuero.
Esteban Tuero, the local hope, who we'll see a lot of the Minardis probably today. Thanks very much indeed, Tony. We'll eat that during the race, shall we, when we're hopefully see Mr. Coulthard racing to victory. You fancy Schumacher as well. You've got great respect for him.
Yeah, and especially if it's damp today, he's in great form. They've caught up tremendously. It's going to be a fabulous contest between Coulthard and Schumacher. I'm really looking forward to that.
Good. Okay. Well, I'd be pretty sure that Hakkinen and Coulthard aren't sharing any Easter eggs. They got pretty strong views about each other.
He's a very fast 29-year-old Finnish driver. That's about all I know about him. It's good. I mean, he's better than he used to be. It's not the ultimate working relationship, if I'm honest. He has some weaknesses. If you finish second and, you know, there's been something held back or whatever, and especially when you work within a team, then you can't help but feel a bit cheated.
In our team and in Formula One, you cannot, it's no secret. Everything is black and white.
At the moment, all I'm effectively trying to do is beat my teammate.
The pressure is on me to continue winning. The pressure on David to start winning.
You know, I gave him the win in Melbourne. He beat me fairly and squarely in Brazil. And I hope that I can get the win here in Argentina.
And so do we. And Hakkinen, 20 out of 20 so far. David Coulthard in second place. The McLarens really running away with it in the Drivers' Championship, and of course in the Team Championship as well. A maximum 32 points from McLaren's. Williams, the reigning champions, really playing catch-up. Well, really, Mercedes dominating the world of motor racing is nothing new. It goes back to the days of Fangio back in the 50s. This nostalgic report comes to you from Murray Walker.
No motor racing program from Argentina would be complete without paying homage to the great 5 times world champion Argentine Juan Manuel Fangio. Fangio finished second in the 1955 Mia Miglia in this superb Mercedes-Benz. And Mercedes are back on top in Formula One, as they were in 1954 and in 55 and before the war with the fabulous Silver Arrows. In fact, here today, Mercedes could make it 3 Formula One wins in a row with McLaren. But with David Coulthard or Mika Häkkinen at the wheel, well, it won't be either of them if Michael Schumacher has his way, and we haven't got long to find out.
Perfect start for Murray. They'll have to wrench that Merc off him when we get to the airport in Buenos Aires. So here we are then. Argentina has its history. It's round 3 of the championship here. The current circuit, though, has its critics, and they include Martin Brundle.
We're on board with Mika Häkkinen, the current World Championship leader in Buenos Aires. 2.46 miles. You're on the pit straight, heading towards corner 1 at 180 miles an hour. Bumpy under braking. Turn in early where the grip is. Now let the car run wide. Just 60 miles an hour through the apex, building up to 150 miles an hour over the blind crest into 3. 55 miles an hour. Look at the front of the car sliding, bring it back in. Now hard on the power, 130 miles an hour before total commitment to this 100 mile an hour chicane. Up to 150 again. Now the long, long right of curve on, taking you onto the back straight. Stay tight, stay tight. Now you're hard on the power, accelerating down the straight to 170 miles an hour. But brace yourself, there's a terrible bump. Oh, there it is. Through Ascari, and another bump. It knocks the fillings out of your teeth. Hard on the brakes, just 50 miles an hour through the hairpin. Before the S's, now take all of the curve you can find. There it is, the first. There's the second. Now turn in tight. It's very slippery on the exit. And a short squirt for another left-hander leading onto the back straight. You're going to build up once again to 150 miles an hour in 5th gear. And the centre chicane's ahead of you. It falls away over the curve, 45 miles an hour, down the hill. Wait, wait, wait. Now on the throttle, correct the slide, and a short straight towards the last effective corner, Hoquilla. Slippery here under braking. Turn in early, and again you have to wait. It's slippery on the exit. You can't get the power down. 70, 80 miles an hour, up to 135 already, over the start-finish line, and a great lap from Mika Häkkinen.
It's a dreadfully difficult circuit. This one, Heinz-Harald Frentzen called it the Mickey Mouse circuit yesterday. Overtaking is just about impossible. The start for David Coulthard, absolutely crucial, Tony. He's had his problems this year with that.
He has had his problems. He had a problem in Brazil, but if we look back to some of his starts in the past, he's renowned as one of the greatest starters in the business. You can see here at Luxembourg Grand Prix last year, he came from 6th on the grid and weaved his path between Fisichella there and Heinz-Harald Frentzen to end up just behind his teammate. From 6th on the grid is brilliant. You see it again. Now, he revealed his secret here. He actually dreams through the starts the night before. He works out where he is on the grid, and he works out where he has to weave his path. In contrast, this uphill start in Brazil, he elected, amazingly enough, to use a foot clutch rather than the hand clutch on the back of the steering wheel. So in effect, he was covering the brake pedal and the throttle pedal with his foot and trying to prevent the car from rolling back. As a consequence, he got massive wheel spin. He didn't get the traction he wanted off the line, and he suffered as a consequence.
Just quickly, Eddie Irvine, Fast Eddie's up there in 4th place. Can you see him having some sort of influence, shall we say, at the start?
I can, because this is his track. He loves it. He's great off the line as well. I think he'll be spurred on by the fact that Häkkinen is alongside him. If he wants to do anything, he'll definitely want to be up in 3rd place and ahead of the Finn, and I think so do we want to see him up there.
Absolutely. Okay, well, the Jordan team come here very much under the microscope after a very poor Brazilian Grand Prix. In fact, Damon Hill described it as just about the worst racing weekend of his career. Earlier this week, one of the trade papers rang a very strong headline indeed. The headline said, Damon's team tackles crisis. Pretty strong stuff. Here's Louise Goodman.
Race day in Brazil, and the champagne was flowing down at Jordan for Eddie's 50th birthday. So far, there's been little else for the team to celebrate. Before the season started, there was every indication that this was going to be the breakthrough year.
Damon Hill, with his experience in ex-World Championship, coming to join Ralph, who we have a huge faith in, with Mugen Honda, of course, and all sorts of different people coming to make sure that this is Jordan's best year ever.
I want to win more races, but the Jordan team as yet have not won a race, and So hopefully I can be there when that happens.
But it didn't start too well for Damon in Melbourne. He was out-qualified by his teammate. And it didn't get much better on Sunday either. Damon had a very average race. He ended up 8th out of the 9 finishers. But it was even worse for Ralf Schumacher. He watched the entire Australian Grand Prix from the pits after losing control of his car on the opening lap of the race. And in Brazil, it was the same story.
He's under a bit of pressure to finish a race at the minute, but once he gets past sort of lap 2, I think you'll see a different Ralf Schumacher than you did last year.
Damon didn't fare much better in Brazil. He was off the pace all weekend, and to top it all, he was disqualified from 10th place after the race when his car was found to be underweight.
The car never really suited him in Brazil, and we're not really sure why, because, you know, Ralf did a good test in Barcelona, came to Brazil, liked the car, was on the pace immediately. Damien did a good test in Barcelona, came to Brazil and didn't like the car. That was quite difficult to sort of cope with, really.
I haven't done anything yet that I feel really proud of, but I feel it's coming. And I went back between Brazil and this race to test in Barcelona, and I felt a little bit more buoyed up by that. The more testing I do, the more I'm getting back into the groove again.
Anderson's found several areas to improve the car, and new parts arrived here on Thursday. Among the changes, a revised front suspension and shock absorbers and trendy winglets for improved downforce. But has it solved the problem?
I'm not sure if there is any just one problem. I think there are a number of different problems, and as I said, a lot of teams, particularly more experienced teams, are scrambling, are desperately trying to find and eradicate whatever little problems there may be. And we're doing exactly the same thing.
Well, yesterday those problems seemed to have gone. The cars ran well in qualifying, but this morning in the damp warm-up it was a slightly different story. So the question mark remains, will this be the race where Jordan get their first points of the 98 season? Points they so desperately need.
Thanks, Louise. Well, Damon has actually driven the equivalent of 2 full Grand Prix since Brazil to try and get things right. Tony, what do you make of Damon at the moment?
Well, as he said, you know, after 2 bad races, already the doubters are writing him off. And he said, that's absolute rubbish. I'm determined to help steer Jordan to the top. He said, things look pretty grim from the outside, but we really are working on it. There's a bit of a problem with the car. He said, I'm trying to identify it. The engineers are trying to identify it. He said, Formula 1 is a little bit like a moving target, but you mustn't write us off. And he said, when I'm under pressure, I'm at my best, and that's what's currently happening. You can see grim determination. I know he had a dark day in qualifying, but he's really going to push hard today.
Okay, well, in tricky conditions like this, one man tends to be aware of all eventualities. That's Michael Schumacher. Let's take a check now on his race day preparations by rejoining James.
This morning's warm-up started out very wet, and throughout the conditions were very changeable. Jean Lacey set the fastest time, but I wouldn't read too much into that. No, the key to today's race is going to be reading the conditions at the right time, something which Michael Schumacher is particularly good at. Here we are in the Ferrari garage, and these are Michael's 2 cars, the spare car over there, and this is his race car. Now, of course, Michael likes to have one set up for slightly wetter conditions and one for the drier. He's very, very good at judging what to do in those last 15 minutes before the pit lane closes. Now, another decision Michael's going to have to make today is what tyres to run. If there's a lot of rain, he'll go with this, Goodyear's A Quattro tyre. A bit less rain, a bit less standing water on the track, he'll go for what's called a V-cut wet. A little bit less again, perhaps just some standing moisture, then the intermediate is the tyre to go for. And finally, if it's fully dry, then this grooved Goodyear tyre is the one to go for. Now, these don't like the wet at all, not like the slicks where you used to be able to stay out a little while. If there's any moisture at all, you've got to come in and go straight for the intermediates. It seems no doubt that whatever happens today, the race will be won and lost on pit stops. McLaren looks set to do 1, Schumacher looks like he might have to do 2. When he stops, he'll be hoping his engine doesn't cut out, as it did in Brazil. When the wheel gun went on, the wheel speed sensor thought that it was travelling at 150 kilometres an hour. But the computer knew that the car was stationary, so the fail-safe system shut the engine off. Needless to say, Ferrari have now written new software to sort the problem out.
Looks like they'll be on the dry tyres at the moment. It's still very overcast, but no rain as yet. Well, the drivers might not like the circuit too much, but they're absolutely unanimous in giving Buenos Aires a very big tick indeed. The capital of the Argentine has a real buzz about it.
I've had a walk around the streets, and it seems very European in a way, and it's much cleaner than Brazil.
Very interesting, a lot of culture. It's a nice city, I really like it.
There are some places where it's very Spanish, or there's other places which are ultra-modern, and it's quite a vibrant city.
It's a lovely place, I have to say.
Quite a dump when we came here first time 4 years ago, but it's better now. It's a beautiful city.
Yes, they're Ferrari fans, there they are indeed, but lots of them are Minardi fans today, thanks to my Easter egg man, Esteban Tuero, the local hero, just 19 years of age, and the man that these locals hope in time will be the new Fangio or Reutemann. 20 minutes to the off. Next, we take a stroll along the grid with Martin Brundle. It's the Argentine Grand Prix live on ITV. We're broadcasting to you from Buenos Aires, and the race due off in just over a quarter of an hour's time, round 3 of this year's championship. I can remember sitting here this time last year and absolutely frying, but it's anorak time out there at the moment, and a lot of anxious glances cast towards the sky. Let's join our man, Martin Brundle. Still dry down there, Martin?
Yeah, it is dry, Jim. It's very, very cold. We need to order some ITV woolly pulleys, I think. We're at the back of the grid today. It's often at the pre-season sort of articles in magazines, they call these the why bothers, the no-hopers, maybe the Tyrrell and Minardi and all that, and I hate it when they do that. It's not fair. The commitment, the investment, and everything they've got here is exactly the same as up at the front end of the grid, just they're missing a little bit of lap time, but there's no way these guys are no-hopers, and they're going to be out there driving really hard. Keith, let's see if we can go up the posh end. You see, look, this is interesting. The great Patrick Head, he bothers to come down this end of the grid because he can still learn 1 or 2 ideas. Somebody's going to have an interesting tweak. Patrick, what are you doing down here? Can you have a quick word with us? And what do you hope you might see down here?
Well, I'm actually just walking from the back to the front, but you sometimes see some interesting details, and it's just interesting. You can look at a car and see what's in the designer's mind, or try and work out what's in the designer's mind. The cars are all good. There's no such thing as a bad car on this grid.
Okay, that's just what I've been telling the viewers. Thanks for your time. We're going up the posh end. Are you with us, Keith? So, I mean, these the 2 Prost parks here, they're having a bad time. I don't know if Alan Prost is around. I'm not even sure I dare speak to him. Where is he? He may be down on this, down with this next car. No, that's a bit of luck. He's not actually around because he's having an awful time. Olivier Panis here and talking to Tom Walkinshaw, one of his old bosses. Can we interrupt? Olivier, how's it going?
I don't know, but I think so. The car for the race is quite good because this morning warm-up, the car is going well.
Good stuff. Okay, and tyres, everything looking good on that?
Yeah, I think so, because I trust the hard tyre yesterday. I think so to make just 1 stop.
Okay, good luck with that. Tom, how's it going?
Well, it could go better, I would say, but the car's very quick and the wet and the damp, and we just don't seem to make the dry weather tyre work very well at the moment.
So this is not the grid conditions you were looking for?
No, I was hoping for rain, but I don't think I'm going to get it.
Okay, good luck in the race. Tom Walkinshaw, of course, from the Arrows team. Let's wonder now. I want to have a quick word with Damon if we can find him. He says he was happy to talk to us today. All calm down here. TV crew's going in the opposite direction. Where's Johnny? He'll be off in the toilet again as usual. Right, Damon's car, bright yellow. You certainly can't miss this one. And in fact, it's very important when you're coming into the pits, when I was driving for Jordan also, it's really helpful if your team are in really, really bright overalls. You come down the pit lane and bang, there's like a big light over your guys. But in fact, Fisichella in a pit stop, of course, he's moved from Jordan to Benetton. The first time he came in, he stopped at the Jordan camp in the run. The boys laughed at him out of sight. Okay, is DH around? Oh, he's in the car, unfortunately. Just give him the thumbs up. Okay, we'll talk to him next time. move on down to the front. The sharp end, as ever, and McLaren on pole this year, but Michael Schumacher, he promised he was going to split them in qualifying, and he certainly did. He's been pretty confident all weekend, weaving way through. I think he's going to be driving hard. He's pretty good around this circuit. Talking to David a little while ago, and I think we both agreed that to beat Schumacher here today, whatever he's driving, basically he's going to have to do a very, very good job. Mika Hakkinen there in third place, and look at the people around here, Keith. Look at the people around the Ferrari. There's always more people around and about this team than any other. It seems to have a massive following down to the front. Okay, where's David? There he is. He's not in the car yet. He's over here. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all right. Knock my headphones off. DC. Tell us about it. What are you going to do?
I'm going to try and make a good start, try and get the first corner first, and then from there, if I can just try and pull out a gap from Michael or Mika or whoever it is behind, then I think we've got a good chance to win this race.
Okay, so you presumably you should be on the slightly grippier side of the racetrack here. It's a bit more on the racing line. Do you think, you know, does that help you right here as you spin the wheels, or do you think it helps you all the way down to the first corner?
Well, we start to cross over just about 100 yards from where we start, so it'll help me the initial getaway, and I was certainly running over this area this morning to try and clean it up. But once we get halfway down the first corner, I need to try and get over to get into the dry area and the clean area for the braking.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to want to put some manners on Michael, hopefully, before you get there too.
Well, absolutely. You know, if I do my job properly, then it won't be a contest to the first corner. If I don't quite get it right, then maybe we'll have to battle a little bit.
I don't think it'll be a problem for you, but your teammate's got Eddie Irvine with him alongside. Eddie's a pretty good starter and a bit wild into the first corner. Does it bother you? Is it something you think about, or you just focus on yourself?
Yeah, you know, Eddie's wildly optimistic, so he can probably see himself coming out the first corner first. So you have to be careful in that situation, but he's a good starter, so we just need to watch out.
Okay, thanks for your time, David. And back to you in the studio, Jim.
Thank you very much, Martin. A few sharp elbows down here. Now we've got a little drummer boy, a little sort of Easter bunny, and if David Coulthard actually, yes, if he cracks it today, we're going to beat the drum for Britain. That's our little down with a little bit of tartan. What a lovely touch as well on the top there. Go on, DC, all the way, beating the drum. I'll see if I can turn it off now. There we are. Okay, we'll put him down there, and hopefully we'll... what do you think the chances are? It'll be out in a couple of hours' time, this, won't it, Tony?
Well, my egg will have hatched by then as well, so it'll all be going well.
But I mean, just seeing Martin down there, I mean, David Coulthard, very cool and very relaxed, but he made one point that he said to beat Schumacher here today would be a heck of an achievement.
He looked very nervous to me, actually. He was trying to stay calm and composed there, and goodness knows it's going to be very, very difficult up against the twice world champion. We've been watching all through the weekend that Schumacher really is in form. You can see Schumacher's head is slightly forward when he's in attacking mode in his cockpit. He wants to win this, he wants to get back on the championship, and of course Coulthard desperately needs to redress the balance. So it's going to be a fantastic spectacle for us to watch.
Indeed it is. And when you rejoin us, Schumacher and the rest are going to be firing up their engines for the Argentine Grand Prix. David Coulthard is where he wants to be, on pole in the all-conquering McLaren.